Education December 9th meeting. We have a lot of people in the crowd, so thank you so much for coming out. We have a lot of recognitions tonight, so we appreciate your time and coming here and recognizing all of our guests. So with that, Lori, would you like to do roll call?
Sure. Mrs. Berger?
Here.
Mr. Hood?
Here.
Mrs. Sleep?
Here.
Mrs. Stricker?
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Here.
Okay. So our first guest is our state champion for cross country is Lily Park. And Dr. Stacy, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, so it's been a privilege. I'll start by speaking as neighbor, all right? So it's been a privilege moving in on Beechwood Road. This Little Runt 1 and Little Runt 2 was down the street. They were a little bit younger than the right north. Now, I will say one, if you all don't mind, I will say one on the Halls boys. They were really disappointed that the superintendent moved in next door, but the Parkses were a little bit younger. So just to see the progression and to see both of them get to the point to where I hate to say it, mom and dad, but where they can outrun you guys, and to see Lily come down and just smack her dad around on sprints, right? It's been a personal gratification for me on top of now multiple state championships. So Lily, you've done a great job representing Beechwood. You're a great runner, and we can't wait to see what that next step is. So if you don't mind, come on up and be recognized.
Congratulations.
All right, Lily, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Lily.
Okay, on to our Christmas card design winner.
So every year we have a student that does the board's Christmas card. This year, Cecilia Anderson, an 8th grader, is the winner for the Christmas card design. So Cecilia, if you don't mind coming on up, we have a little gift for you, and that you're. I think there's some sample cards in there for family and maybe a little sweet thing in there for you. So congratulations, and we appreciate your work.
Okay, now we are on to our retirees, I guess that's what we're going to call them. And so, Noreen, I want to thank you I know you've served 8 previous years, and I know we did recognize you officially after your 8 years. However, I want to thank you for coming back and doing just under a year stint with us and making sure we have a full board. So we appreciate that and wish you well on everything. And again, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. This is for you. Thank you. Okay, so on to our next person, and he has been here longer than I've been on the board, but he's been here to, well, I'm not really even sure how to begin this one. So Steve, I just can't believe you're retiring before me. So I just appreciate everything you've done for this community, for our kids. I always felt comfortable knowing that there's just one more person here in the evenings watching over, and I could pick up the phone and call and say, hey, have you seen those Burger Girls? Where are they? What are they doing? So I appreciate you and everything you do for all of our staff, all of our kids, the community. You're always here looking out for them. So thank you. We're sad to see you retire, but we appreciate everything you've done. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. So I'm trying not to cry because it's an emotional time. So on to our next honoree is Melanie. We've served on this board together for 14 years out of your 16. And I can say sometimes it's been crazy and we may not always agree, but at the end of the day, we come together and do what's best for our district and the long-term vision of our district. So I want to thank you for everything you've done for our community and wish you well.
Thank you. Madam Chair, can I have permission to say a few words?
Sure, sure.
Bear with me, guys. This was hard. Driving down Beechwood Road for the last time, coming to a board meeting in my official capacity as being on the Board of Education was way more emotional than I could have imagined. Thank you for your kind words. It has been my absolute pleasure to serve our community and our stakeholders for the past 16 years. First, I'd like to thank my family for their understanding and support throughout my dedication to Beechwood. My wife, Chris, who is here, and my daughters, Emma in New York and Amelia in North Carolina. 16 years is a really long time to serve. My family often said Beechwood was another full-time job, and sometimes it was. I did the math, and I was here 192 Monday nights at board meetings. And I think I only missed one, and that's because we planned our family vacations around Beechwood board meetings. There were so many other events, just too many to count, which included special board meetings, various committee meetings, KSBA meetings, sporting events, band competitions, chorus performances, high school musicals, Santa Fest, open house, 6th grade graduations, and high school graduations. This is rough. Those who know me know I gave my heart and soul to Beechwood for 16 years, and I did it because I love Beechwood. I have loved Beechwood for as long as I can remember. At this point, it's 55 years and counting. And my Beechwood story started in 1st grade. I was a student for 12 years. I was a student athlete for 6 years. I played tennis, basketball, volleyball, and softball. I received, some of you heard me say this, I received my first varsity letter in 7th grade, and I still remember how it felt to have the pride of wearing Beechwood across my chest. This was the 70s, and girls were not encouraged to be athletes. Thank goodness that has changed. I was also a Beechwood parent for 15 years. I'm the proud mom of 2 graduates. I'm on the alumni board. It's great to see some alumni in the room. I've done a lot of reflecting this year. My experience on the board feels like a tale of 2 Beechwoods. The first Beechwood, imagine if you will, it's January 1st, 2009. Our campus was wide open. Our doors were not locked during school hours. We didn't have a school nurse, and we didn't have an SRO. Our facilities needed significant improvement. The front lawn did not have grass. It was littered with gumballs, creating a safety hazard after every graduation. Our lower field had a serious drainage issue. We had numerous injuries during football games and at recess. And we had an old Category 5 building, which meant it wasn't supposed to be used. So in my early years on the board, I advocated to add a school nurse, and I ensured our teachers received a stipend upon completing their national board certification. I served as board chair for 3 years, and I'm very proud of 3 significant decisions we made during that period. I led the process to update our mission statement, which was decades old and outdated. And we did a really cool process. We engaged 5 members of various stakeholder groups, including students, teachers, staff, parents, the board, administrators, and local business partners. And that process resulted in the board approving to provide innovative education grounded in tradition. I'm proud of the work we did in 2014. I think it's pretty cool that it still rings true today in 2024. I collaborated with the police chief to secure a grant and create a proposal for the SRO program. The City of Fort Mitchell and the board approved a 3-year pilot program, and we started that on January 1st, 2015. You might be surprised to know that some people disagreed with that proposal, and they argued that Beechwood did not need a SRO. I firmly believed in the benefits of that program, and over the years we've received overwhelmingly positive feedback about the program and our dedicated officer, Pangallo. Every time I hear someone talking about our SRO, I feel a sense of pride knowing we made the right decision. If you were here in 2015, you know that our facilities were in dire need of repair and improvements. I'm proud of the decision to hire Dr. Stacy as our superintendent. He brought a wealth of experience and a strategic vision for the future. The second, Beechwood. Hiring Dr. Stacy was the first step in our facilities and academic transformation. It started with him building a very talented administration team. I've always been amazed by all the talent we have in this little building. Prior to his arrival, we had a revolving door, and for the last 10 years, we've had a consistent administration team with average tenure much higher than the industry average. Dr. Stacy's leadership fostered a collaborative and productive partnership between school administration and the Board of Education. A fun fact, at least 2 of us sitting at this table have been on the Board of Education since 2009. At different times, it was different 2 of us, but in addition to me serving 16 years, Jeannie and Brad each have served 14 years. And it's rare to have 3 board members with this kind of tenure, especially now, when some are only lasting a few years. For the first time in school history, Beechwood had a positive relationship with Frankfurt. We secured funding which allowed us to transform our facilities. And we have a slide that will be available. As I was starting to think about my experience on the Board of Education, I thought the best way to do it is in a picture. And if you look at this picture, you'll see the various areas within Beechwood, but in the center of Beechwood are all the different roles we have. And just like a wheel, it takes everybody working together and moving in the right direction to accomplish the things we've accomplished in the last 10 years. Our transformation started with our new mission to provide innovative education grounded in tradition, which was the foundation for the Beechwood Way. We implemented experiential learning with the seminar and EDGE programs, and we now have over 100 business partners that give our kids and students valuable real work experience. The majority of our seniors have an internship and graduate with real life work experience. We built a culture of excellence in academics and extracurriculars. Beechwood is consistently ranked as a top school in the state and nationally, and we've had many state champions. Our most recent one was this last Friday, so how about that game? So my Beechwood experience has come full circle. As I represented Beechwood across the state and nationally, I felt that same pride I did as a student, wearing Beechwood across my chest. I feel blessed to have been part of a rare opportunity where we started with a vision and a dream 10 years ago, and we have turned them into reality. It wasn't always easy. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. We did all the things some people said we couldn't do, and then some. I am so excited for all of you to see our new state-of-the-art building. I'm so proud of this legacy we created that will continue to foster experiential learning and give our students, staff, and community a competitive advantage for decades to come. I decided to end my board service on 12/31 because 16 years is a long time to serve. And we are in a phase of life where we have aging parents with lots of health issues. But this one excluded. The other 3. It was not an easy decision because I love Beechwood and I have always loved every minute of being on the board. Well, most minutes anyway. All of you in the room know Beechwood is a very special place. Beechwood will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you for listening to my story. Once a Tiger, always a Tiger. Melanie Stricker, class of 1981.
Okay, well, on to, that's probably the longest recognitions we've ever had. So, and it's all
That's
good
the
and
most I've talked
exciting.
since I was board chair.
I think so too. So, okay, on to our public comment. We have Amanda Claire.
Yeah, so I don't look awkward standing hunched over. When Noreen Sullivan and her husband Ray chose Beechwood for their kids to come to school here in the early 1990s, Beechwood had no idea how lucky we were. I always say that Beechwood is Beechwood because the people inside the building. Noreen Sullivan is one of those people. Noreen has served our district in a multitude of roles, starting with being an SBDM member in 1996 when her oldest son was in 5th grade. As a 4th grade teacher, I was lucky enough to have Noreen volunteer her time weekly to come in and conduct science experiments with the entire 4th grade. Not only did she align these weekly hands-on experiences with our curriculum, but she provided the supplies too. She started this in 2004 when her daughter was in 4th grade and continued this until COVID hit in 2020. For years, Noreen has coached the elementary future problem solving and academic team. She donated her stipend back to the school. I can't even count how many district and regional championships she led our students to over the years as her tenure as the coach. At home meets, you would find her husband Ray reading the questions for quick recall matches and one of her kids keeping score. They knew what academic excellence meant to their own kids and wanted to afford the same opportunities for other students. As a board member, Noreen has been an integral part of the tradition of excellence and has helped us respect tradition while also being able to grow forward. Noreen has been a cheerleader for not only Beechwood students, but also Beechwood teachers. I still have emails and handwritten notes from Noreen. She has no idea how much that has meant to me, coming from one of the most intelligent and innovative people I know. One time, she came back from a board conference with an idea she couldn't wait to share with me. She gave me a tiny white card, and on it, it said, "Because I said I would," at the bottom. She had heard the gentleman talk about the importance of keeping promises and how he created this movement in honor of his dad who had passed away. I was able to incorporate the "Because I Said I Would" lessons for my students for several years, thanks to Noreen sharing this idea with me. Noreen, I hope you know the impact you have had on all of us in your 28 years of service to Beechwood. These pictures that I have found by scrolling through my Twitter many, many years truly capture the magic and the true love of learning you were able to pass on to both teachers and students. I have a new promise card, Noreen, and on it says, "I will create a hands-on experience for my students. With you as an inspiration, I will earn it back because I said I would." Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person, Ray Sullivan.
Hello, my name is Ray Sullivan. Of course, in these halls, everyone knows me as Mrs. Sullivan's husband. I deserve that. I speak today on the occasion of Noreen's retirement from the board and in celebration of her 30 years of volunteerism at Beechwood. I can't say anything that hasn't been said by the prior two speakers, so I just ripped up my speech, I put it in my back pocket. It was beautiful, thank you. But what I will say is that Noreen didn't do what she did alone. I certainly didn't help her. It's the people in the community, it's the staff and faculty in this building who supported her, who taught her, in some cases mentored her, in many cases disagreed with her and helped her sharpen her views. For all these people, and I think there's several of you in the room right now, for all these people, I wish you to join me in celebrating Noreen's tenure, the end of her tenure, her final retirement, I think. I'm not buying another cake. And for all of you who have helped us over the years, please join us for a slice of cake over on the other side of the room and some camaraderie. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, on to our discussion and action agenda. Okay, we'll take a motion to approve the agreement with Pepsi.
So moved.
Need a second?
I'll second.
A second, Amy seconds.
Okay, first of all, this is a lot like cell phones. You probably should switch every 3 to 4 years because the deal's better. All right, so everybody in the room that likes Diet Mountain Dew is excited, and everybody that likes Diet Coke is upset. But at the same time, with us having new facilities, this agreement gives us new storage in the concession stands. It's a 5-year renewable every year, 1 year renewable every year up to 5 years. So that's
So
about
they're
the
not
life of
locked
the
in,
equipment.
but they're not locked in for 5.
Yeah, it can be mutually agreed upon. I mean, or either side of the either one of the parties can opt out with
Right.
notice.
Okay.
And I would say, I definitely won't be here either, but 5 years from now, it would probably be best to switch again. You get free equipment. The equipment is the refrigeration
Units for-
and the storage equipment is the deal in the package. So when that ages out, then you have issues. Any other questions?
Anybody?
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to our consent agenda. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, just a couple of things that are new. Band Craft Fair again for 25. I think they must have had a pretty good showing on last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago. So they're already wanting to do that again. We do have a STEM collaboration 3D printer grant. That's something new. It's a small amount, but you all have to approve all grant acceptance. We did have the updated safety plan because we are going to be opening a new facility. So therefore, Safety Committee has to get together and review and go back through that process. So that is attached. I did update you last week that we were going to bring back Winter Guard and percussion stipends to clean that up, to make sure we were in good shape. Chrissy worked on that, and that is on there. And then another odd one for this time of year, temporary workers. That's college students or even our students that are out of school can come in and help support our move as far as the furniture and equipment. That is definitely something Steve is not going to come in and help us on. So we need some young backs to come in and help out. So that's typically, you typically see that as summer temporary workers, but we are asking for that to be added to the
Is that
pay.
just for like a 2-week?
Yep, just over the break.
Okay.
And then we do have one shortened school day. That is a special ed request from Ms. Delkamp. Any questions?
Anyone have questions?
Nope.
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. On to our, well, it's not like we do this all the time, but mid-year update to where we will have a few people represent, or, present actually, for construction update. I don't know what we have first.
Yeah, so you want me to?
Do construction
Yeah.
update first.
Yeah, so typically this is what happens in the joint sessions with SBDM, but Ms. Berger asked us to do this as a whole group. I think that's part of your new communication.
Yes,
It goes out twice a year.
Twice a year.
So because of that, we're going to go ahead and do it in a regular board meeting. I'll start very shortly and then turn it over to Heath. So we've been given updates on the construction for a long period of time. We're finally to a point to where we're getting ready to do a ribbon cutting and allow students to come through January the 6th. So that's going to be my my limit. Students will be walking through on January the 6th. With that being said, there will be a punch list, a pretty extensive punch list that will continue on after students are in. So that work will move to nights and weekends. That is not major, as you'll see on Friday. That's not major structural issues. That's more, making sure every cap is on an electrical outlet, and especially down in the basement area and the stage area and down underneath the auditorium. Some of that work still needs to be completed, as well as the locker rooms. So that's kind of mine. Heath, I've been able to keep this off of you for 3.5 years. I've lost that ability. So Heath Preston is our site manager for Codell Construction, and he's just going to
Do you
give
want
you.
to sit?
I'm loud enough. I don't need that. First of all, let me tell you, it's just been my privilege to be able to be here and do this work. I've been in construction business for 30 years, and this has been by far my most challenging, the toughest, the best project I've ever had. And you all have done this absolutely wonderful, fabulous job. What you're providing to this community is going to last for 100 years, and it's going to be something else. You're going to win awards. I tell them that all the time. You're going to win awards with this project. It is something that I've never seen before in the school, and it's absolutely great. Construction update, we're going to have this ribbon cutting on the 13th, and all the main areas, the lower level and the auditorium will not be complete. The locker rooms are not going to be complete. I've kind of pulled everybody off the locker rooms to be able to get some of this stuff done, but and we've had challenges throughout. So since COVID, it's always tougher to get manpower. It's always tougher to get supplies. Things that are coming from overseas, it's tougher to get those things. Those things take longer. We've had some little issues that we've had to deal with. Anytime you do a remodel and you're tearing down everything, and we're working around all the kids on 3 sides of us and those kind of things, we have challenges. But we've been able to take through those and knock those out and keep going. And it's just you're going to have an absolutely wonderful facility for these kids. You all should be so proud of yourselves. So proud of yourselves. But again, we're going to have a ribbon cutting on the 13th. So we'll have the main floor, second floor, all the classrooms, the offices, the new media center, all that will be complete. New media center pretty much got knocked out today, and now we just need to clean it up a little bit. And then again, the lower level and the auditorium will be complete shortly. I think at the end of January, start of February, we'll be able to get those things complete and get those knocked out. There's a lot of new, you all have the best technology money can buy, so you're going to have a lot of new stage lighting and a lot of new stuff that technology-wise that we've got to get in there and get that put up. But I wanted to put that up at the very end so it doesn't get damaged or hurt or anything like that. But other than that, the project's going extremely well, and you all should be very proud. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's going to win awards. I say that all the time. And you all are going to be so proud of this building for years and years and years to come.
Already are. Thank
Well,
you.
Any other
thank
questions?
you.
Thank you for everything
Yeah,
you've
thank
done.
you. It's been a great,
I will
great job.
probably need to tell the crowd that Heath was also the board chairman
Oh, yes.
of Lawrence County Schools. So he speaks a little bit more like a board chair as opposed to the average construction guy. But I do want to publicly brag on Heath. It has been, I told you all before we even started, this would be absolutely the most difficult project that I've ever worked on. right? You had students on 3 sides of you. You had absolutely 0 prep room. And it was a complex building with extreme finishes for a school, right? I mean, so Heath's done a great job. Not only has he managed this building, but he also drank the Kool-Aid and moved his family here, and we've had the privilege of having his 3 kids. So just wanted to publicly thank Heath.
One last thing that I want to mention, the most important thing that we have accomplished during this whole entire thing is every child was safe. And I want to make sure you all know that. Every child was safe. Believe me, there's times that we had 70-foot steel going up and a lot of craziness going on, but every child was safe, and that was what I'm most proud of.
Thank you.
And that's what makes it the most challenging when you have kids all on campus and then trucks going in and out and all the things, so, and then parking. So parking for
Yeah,
workers, parking for our staff and our community, and then, yeah, no, I know, it's
Why,
crazy, so.
He didn't let me drive the forklift.
Come on over, I still got one.
All right.
Okay, so our next is safety, yes.
Oh, you went straight.
I'm not as loud as he. So safety, I'm going to read from up here. I'm not going to read all this, but it's fitting when I was asked to present on kind of how safety rolls. I've done this at SBDMs, but I've never been able to do this up in front of, for a board meeting to explain like the safety process, how things work. So we have a safety committee. That safety committee is composed of parents, community members, you have teachers, you have administrators, you have board members. We also have the fire department and the police department, and everybody looks to review all of our safety documents, all of our safety plans. Now, we don't review those in open meetings because of obvious reasons that you can't share all the safety nuances with how you plan against those things with the community for obvious reasons. But we do go through all those documents that you see there that are bolded. Then, once we go through those, review those, we submit those to each building's SBDM. They review those, then they submit those to the board for approval. And so that process of all those stakeholders that are involved in approving our safety plans is systematic, it's annual, and what we did just last week in a kind of a change-up is we're opening a new building. So in order to open create a safety plan that meets the needs of the new building, we had to get together as a safety committee and review all the safety aspects of the new building. So all those stakeholders that I mentioned before were in that meeting. We looked at the safety plan. We made updates to allow the new building to fall within those standards. And we submit those to the SBM last Wednesday. Both were approved. Now they've gone tonight in front of this board. They've approved those. So that's kind of the process, how safety works. It's a year-long process. We revisit it every spring, every fall. It's great because we have such professional people on that. Our fire department and our police department do a really good job of being in the building, being engaged in this process, along with the rest of the people that you talk about, or I talked about up there. So that's kind of the process. On the next slide, you see this is like all the stuff we do. This is at a glance. I'm not going to go through all this. This is going to be shared. This presentation will be part of the board minutes, so you'll be able to look through and go through all the little things we do. But one key point I want to look at that or talk about on this is that a lot of this stuff is like physical safety, is that what you think of when you think of safety, but a lot of it is also 30 to 40% is social emotional well-being of kids. And so we have to do both of those things. You just can't create a super strong force field barrier safety. You need to also support kids on the other end to make sure they feel welcome, they feel engaged, they feel a part of this place and this community. We are the Goldilocks type of school where we're not too big, we're not too small. Every kid knows, or every staff member knows every kid. So we're in a really good spot to provide that social emotional balance to a really safe facility. So we're proud of that part of this, not just all the measures that we put in place. And then if you look at the next page, this is kind of our philosophical idea around safety. Also, again, I'm not going to read through all of it, but you look at how we developed the new space, the new facility. You look at our comprehensive safety protocols. You look at addressing these complex spaces like a cafeteria, like a lower field, like arrival and dismissal, like the new building. So a lot of those have complicated spaces that we have to mitigate. Then you look at advancing innovative education at the forefront, trying to create a new facility that engages our kids, makes them love their school. So all those things come into play when you look at what we do as we move forward, but also provide a safe environment in that process. And I think that's it from a safety standpoint. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Schobel for curriculum.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I was asked to give an update on curriculum and instruction. As you know, I could probably talk about this for a very long time, so I'm going to do some high-level keys to the work that have been going on this year. And then I will say, too, I'm not going into too much detail. Our principals, our SBDMs, will follow up with joint session in January that we do twice a year to get into additional details of their work of the year and their work towards the goals that we established in the summer. So first of all, before I even get into the bullets, I just want to say kind of the key to the whole thing is we have really worked to try to balance giving our kids rich experiential learning with keeping that traditional rigorous academic core. And I think what our data shows, our evidence shows, our work of our students, our work of our staff has been able to accomplish both of those things and balance both of those things. And so we do have some core things to talk about here. We are in the first year of a new English language arts curriculum. That is K through 9th grade before we start AP in sophomore year. Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, you can see there, is the English curriculum. We are in the second year of our math curriculum, K through Algebra 1. That is Envision Mathematics. And then just with that, going right into that, I think something really special that Beechwood does here is work K-12 alignment, where we are able to look from our little ones all the way to our high schoolers. How are we working together to be sure that there are no gaps? How are we working to be sure that transitions are seamless? How are we learning from each other, both at the elementary, the middle, and the high school levels? And that's something special here that even since I've been here, I've seen a change in how we are able to work together to be better for our kids. And so just one example of that that's already happened this year is our 5th through 8th grade middle grades work sessions, so that those teachers from one building to the next can get together and work on curriculum. So that's some of our core highlights for this semester. And then, of course, our EDGE program is also a major focus. Challenge planning, rich challenge planning continues at the elementary levels, seminar in our middle grades, and our high school minors. That is something that our staff, our teachers, our admin team is working constantly to update those challenges and be sure that our kids are getting authentic experiences, that they're building those skills that are going to prepare them for college and or career, whatever path they choose. And so they are building those soft skills, those career-ready skills that we call our core concepts. Our staff are not just working with business partners planning those authentic challenges, but they're continually reviewing the student work to see, okay, how's the process going, what's the products, and a real focus for this year has been on raising the level for those student products and continuing to challenge them. And we've seen our students already rise to that occasion and really what we call exemplars, find some great examples of that student work. We have structures for that, for our staff to continuously do that, a ton of collaboration. Something else to highlight is our defenses of learning. This has been a goal for a long time, to have those experiences for students to present their learning, their work, and most importantly, how they've grown through these processes. And so we've been doing that in 6th and 8th grades for a couple of years, and this fall we had our first group of seniors go through that process. And the first time you're doing something, there's always some questions, some challenges, but those, I think if you speak to anybody who was in the room, our partners, our staff, for those individual defenses of learning, better yet, talking to the seniors and hearing their takeaways from that was really special, and they've already been saying to us, oh, I use this for a job application. Oh, I use this for a scholarship application. I never thought I would. I didn't think I would use this, but I was able to. And so those are really neat capstone experiences for our students to show not just scores that they have, but something they've actually created, work they've done, and again, how they've grown in those skills. And then it was mentioned earlier, but we do have over 100 business partners. At this point, there's so many partners involved in different ways that it is quite stunning. And we have 75% of our seniors in internships that Ms. Hawes and Ms. Layton make all of that happen. And when we talk to other school districts, even very high-performing school districts, they are amazed by that our students are getting that real-world experience to prepare them for the future, all while still taking AP classes and doing well on the ACT. So again, that balance. Staff-wise, with curriculum instruction, this year we implemented a new professional learning menu. Just like many of you in your jobs probably have some sort of continuing education, our teachers continue learning and love to do so. We've talked for a long time about personalizing learning for kids. We also want to personalize learning for staff to be sure everyone is getting what they need and is able to grow professionally in their own ways. Finally, there's many, but a few assessment data highlights that our team wanted to share was 70.45% of all AP tests taken in 2024 earned a score of 3 or higher. If you don't know, it's a scale of 5, so typically 3 or higher typically earns you college credit and is considered passing. So to have that percentage of all tests taken is pretty remarkable, and very proud of the students and the staff for that. Our ACT composite last March was 22.33. You can see on there the state average was 18.6. So again, much higher than the state average there. And then KSA, they have a color rating system with the state, and our middle and high school levels earned the highest rating, blue. So we are very, very proud of all of the accomplishments. Of course, we are always working. Anytime I think we get any data back, anytime we do an experience like defensive learning, our entire team, our staff are going, okay, how could we improve? That's just our nature. We will continue to do that. But that being said, we are very proud of our amazing students, the community support, and the staff who helped make this happen. So thank you very much, and I will turn it over to Mr. Ashley for an elementary update.
Wow, that's a lot, so thank you. Yeah, I know, that's why you were just going on, I'm thinking, wow.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, yes, it is. Thank you.
So really quickly, a little history before I roll into this one slide, so hopefully you can stick with me. I know the cake is waiting. I'll keep mine short as well, but a little bit of history necessary, context for the slide that's up there. Essentially, how the building is going, right? How are we doing? Mr. Yankee will provide the high school side here in just a second. But one of the ways that we know how things are going is that we survey the staff, right? So we talk about, and people use different words for that, culture, climate, morale, whatever the word might be that you would like to associate with how the building is going and how the staff is doing. Currently, they call it the impact survey. So we used to call it the TEL survey, now it's the impact survey. We do that every other year. So we won't do it this year, but we will do it again next year. So the results that we're using and the results that we're working off of and the results that you're gonna see a little sample of are from this past school year. And so that's a little bit about what the impact survey is, or the history of it anyway. And I'll be honest about a couple of things really briefly. The survey includes staff's perception of administration, staff's perception of each other. There are some questions in there. But overall, I think it's a decent measure on the staff members' view of the workplace environment, how things are going, how committed and how much ownership they feel they have over the work that we're doing. And I know Sarah just mentioned for several minutes, right, more details than I'm going to give about how much great work there is going on, and the staff really recognizes, as do I, that we're just part of something that's bigger than ourselves, you know, and contributing to that and being a part of an amazing place is always, I think, at the forefront. On the questions, just a quick brief explanation on that so you know what the survey is. There are 5, if you look at the top right corner, extremely positive, quite positive, somewhat positive, slightly positive, or not at all positive as the 5 answer choices. When you get a number at the bottom, that says favorable 53%, you're a little alarmed, like why are only 53% favorable? But if you'll do the math with me just for a second, that means that 25 are favorable because it only counts the top 2 categories as favorable, whereas the middle category gets counted as not favorable. And so there are 20 people in there who said somewhat positive, but that doesn't come out on the favorable end of how they do the measuring of each question. So how positive are the attitudes of your colleagues? If you include the 20 who say somewhat positive, you're jumping from 53% favorable to well into the 90s percent favorable. So just so you have an idea of how the questions are broken down and how that goes. And then at the bottom, you'll see school climate, again, climate, culture, morale. That category in and of itself, which included, I think, 11 questions, overall was 81% favorable. The survey also breaks down what the Kentucky elementary school number is, which is 71, Kentucky as a whole, which is 63, and Beechwood as a district was 75%. So in the elementary school, the 81%, something for us to be proud of. A couple of other things, and I know those are on the slide up there, but the teacher performance is another indicator of how things are going. People are knocking it out of the park. They're going out of their way. They're staying extra hours. They're designing experiential learning and all the things that Sarah talked about. They're seeking out their own professional learning. They're still excited. Many of them have been here for a lot of years. I've been here 10, and I feel like a new guy sometimes, and I'm still excited about the work that we're doing and the performance, seeking out those things as part of professional learning. Attendance for teachers is very, very high. Much higher than the state average. A teacher retention has been a question. In the elementary school, the teacher retention has been extremely high over the last 7 or 8 years, specifically. Having to only hire 1 or 2 certified staff members, most principals would kill for that, so I feel blessed to have that retention rate. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence that I could add to this slide, whether it be team meetings or just walking down the hallways, being visible as a principal. I try to spend very little time in my office, so having a feel for how people are doing and those relationships are very important to me. We have an extreme amount of consistency with our team and the work that we're doing and the goals that we have. The Beechwood Way has been around since year 2 for me. So I'm really proud of that. We as a team are really proud of that it continues. And improvement plans for both the district and each school. Those improvement plans include much information, much of the results of these impact surveys and other surveys. We did OHI soon after we got here as an admin team. When I say we, Mike and I have been here for a pretty long time. Mr. Kaiser. Well, we did the OHI thing. We were told how little trust there was amongst the staff, and those numbers were really abysmal, if I'm being honest. I'd rather not revisit. But we're really proud of the growth that we made in that regard, too, because they came back a couple years later to reassess and resurvey, and the results from that, it's a little outdated at this point, but just as another example of how the building is doing very, very well, and I'm proud of our people. Again, just to be a part of something bigger than myself, I am lucky to be here. Questions? Elementary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Alan Yankee, for those of you in the audience that don't know. I'm a high school principal, so I'm just kind of following along with what Zach had kind of started as far as looking at the culture and climate of high school. Having been here only for a year and a half, I have a different view in the fact that I kind of see it from the outside, and I've got to know the teachers. But when you look at the data and you look at the impact survey, you go back like Zach was talking about with the OHI through the TEL survey and now impact survey, and you see positive results year after year. And the way that the numbers are, you know that you've got a staff that really has come together. The goals and The communication and meetings, the one-on-one meetings that I've had with them have been very impactful. I feel like that my door is open and they can come in and they can speak with me, they can share with me, they can disagree with me, and we can work together. When you take a look at the way that they embrace the Beechwood way and continue to not only teach it but live it themselves, using examples with their students throughout their class periods, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, you see the consistency of work that we're getting with the test scores and with what is being done through their classroom and through their work, the performance that is there. One of the things that I, anecdotally, we had 148 seniors come forward and do their defenses of learning. They didn't get a grade for that. 148 out of 148 stepped forward because the teachers felt that it was important, and they showed that through the work that the kids presented. So that just kind of gives you a sense of how they believe and the culture and what they feel about the school. You look at the district attendance rate, 96.9% across for the staff across the district. That's amazing. Having worked in 4 different schools in the last 6 years, it's not like that anywhere else. Constant attendance issues. And these teachers love to be here, and that's why they come to work. A couple of other things I just wanted to share is that 24 of our high school staff have kids that go to Beechwood. I don't think that there's a greater testament of how great they think the school is than bringing their own kids to where they teach and where they work. And we also have 29 of our high school staff involved in extracurriculars. They're coaches, they run clubs, they're involved, they want to be here for our kids. So when I look at things overall, I feel like our staff feels supported. They feel strongly in what they're doing. The mission is there, the belief is there, and for all of them, Beechwood is where they want to be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
I know that was a lot of information in such a short time, so I appreciate getting it all together and compacted and given a total view. So thank you for your time on that. Oh, yes. Do you want to go ahead and mention the traffic? Yeah.
We get back January 6th. Part of the month will be real. Get to school, drop off, pick up, will be exactly the same. There won't be any drastic changes. The biggest change will be there will be a lot of staff that are over here that will be back into the old spots. They'll be very happy about that on slot. And then they're on the high school side. The high school side is not open for like a drop off and pick up. It will be available like during the day, like doctor's visits or coming late to school, stuff like that. So we open that, but for arrival and dismissal, it's all stays the same because looking at them the past 3 years, it's been so much more fluid, so much smoother with just one in, one out than the 2 system. And so that'll stay the same. And maybe get about 75 to 80 of our seniors who are part on campus this program. Might be happy. So just know tomorrow morning I'm going to set out an IC blast that explains the traffic to the community, to all parents, so they'll know what's coming. They can prep and plan ahead of time when we come back to school January 6th.
Thank you for giving them a heads up, because that slide there, everybody will want to see before they come to school on campus back in January. So, okay. On to our information portion. Thank you all for your presentations. I appreciate that. We'll come back in January, I believe, with like some finances, and then we have 2 new board members coming on and trying to get them a lot of information ahead of time too. So thank you. Information portion, superintendent's report.
Finances on the yearly budget are holding strong. Finances for the construction project are still in line, so both of those are in good shape. I would like to publicly explain to the board that Christy has done an excellent job the last couple of weeks. We've had to go through an audit process. We are in We are in the running for $6 million for the cost difference between bids versus outcomes of new construction based on COVID and supply chain costs. I mean, due to COVID and supply chain. So I can definitely make the calls to our local and state politicians, but Christie has had to do all the nuts and bolts on the line items and pulling out the BG1s. So without that help, we wouldn't
Thank you.
have the ability to go forward in short session and lobby for those funds. It ended up being 7.4 million instead of 6. We had to get that number in pretty quick and wanted to make sure that we would never be accused of trying to pad our number. But that is still on the table. There is absolutely zero guarantee that we'll be able to receive any of that money, but without her work on that process, we wouldn't have the opportunity to get to the start line, right? So that will definitely be one of our top items in short session. Short session meaning a non-budgetary session. So how are we on the opportunity for money? The state legislature put $144 million into SFCC and allowed the 21 schools that were doing construction projects that started right before, bid process started before COVID, construction started after COVID, are all vying for a piece of that pie, for lack of a better way of saying it. So I really appreciate her help over the last couple weeks putting together those items. Again, that would be bonding capacity. But that would be a check into that.
It would not be.
100%.
It's not bonding capacity.
It is bonding.
It is bonding.
But it's 100%. It's not a match. It would be a straight check. You have the SBD amendments. Since we've had the mid-year report, I have nothing much to add, although I would like to just draw on a couple of things that I've said. First of all, for all the retirees, we appreciate the time. When you look at 97% staff attendance rates, you know, we give up, let's say everybody. You know, you heard somebody say it would be nice to travel outside of 3 weeks a year, right? We have spring break, we have fall break, and we have dead period. And that's before the only one week of dead period, because in Fort Mitchell, we got to do 4th of July, which is a whole different thing. But not only do they give time away from their families, Chris, I know Ray, board members' families, administrators' families, teachers' families, the amount of Jay said it great the other night after the game, right? You know, your family gives you up for this work. That's why it's a servant's position, but just is awesome to see. 97%. Think about how many things that people are not attending to be on campus. That's impressive. I just wanted to draw out spokes in the wheel. That's one of the reasons why I only say staff. Every single person on this campus has to depend on each other, right? Because if you take one of those pieces out, we crumble. And that has been one of the things that I've been really awesome to see as we've continued to do well, is how many different groups and how many different people. You know, Lord, the kids even gave Steve a Tiger Award. I mean, but how many times do you see one of the maintenance guys get an award from the student body? Right? So I won't take any longer. I know it's been late, but I just did want to bring out that 97% attendance rate on students and staff. I think 96.9, and just what that means to the board. With that being said, ribbon cutting on December 13th. Start at 4:30 promptly. In here we have quite a few people coming. A lot of them are on tight schedules. We've already been told by a couple of the different people coming from Frankfurt that they will be on a tight schedule. So we will have to start right at 4:30. We will be very quick on the words and move into the space.
Because it gets dark early. If we're going to be outside, it gets
Right.
dark early.
Yes, right. So we've got to be out. I've told everybody our goal. Joe Hayes told me today he will give up his speaking time.
I'll give up mine.
That's nice.
So we've got to be outside by 5 o'clock.
If that's an option.
Yeah, we've got to be outside by 5 o'clock
Okay.
to take pictures with daylight still being present. Heath will have the front looking great. So that staff will have access to the building after school on the 12th, ribbon cutting on the 13th, first day for kids in the space, January 6th, and then we'll talk about, I know we've marked March the 20th, because that's also Ed Showcase Night, so that'll be kind of a grand opening to, you know, the whole community. But based on who I see walking in and out of unlocked doors, a lot of the community has already seen some of the space, especially since we run a double and triple cruise, you know, and they're not saying much to their families. So anyway, that's all I have. Any other questions? You have the personnel report with new hires. If you have any other questions, let me know. If not, that's all I have tonight.
Anybody have a question? Okay, on to the agenda to make the part of the official board minutes. We'll take a motion to do that.
I'll move to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
I'll second.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Okay, I know everybody's anxious to get out of here, so the only thing I have to add under board business is I just want to congratulate our football team on a wonderful championship win the other night down in Lexington. It was a great day. It was cold, but a great day. So with that being said, again, I want to thank the retirees, Steve, Noreen, and Melanie, and we wish you all well, and don't be strangers and come back and see us, and you know, keep in touch. So thank you again, and we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
There we go.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes.